Okay, so the North Carolina PT Board is back out of closed session, and it is 11:42. We are back in an open session. The chair will request a motion from the board to accept the decisions made in closed session.
Madam Chair, I will make the motion. And we're doing a separate motion about the bonus, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I would like to make a motion that in recognition of excellent service, that we provide a bonus for the executive director in the amount of $5,000.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded that we bonus our executive director $5,000 in recognition of her excellent service. All those in favor, please let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Anyone abstaining? The motion carries. Thank you very much for your very hard work, Kathy.
Thank you all very much for
And
considering it.
just one question. Do we need to clarify that that is for her performance review and we're doing bonus versus annual increase?
David Gadd.
I think the motion was a bonus.
Right.
Was that right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Right.
And you don't have to clarify that it was based on that. I think it was done fine.
Okay.
Thank you. And other discussion is that the chair will share the performance appraisal tool that the board members used. I will share that with Kathy in the next week or two.
Thank you again, Kathy.
Well, thank you all very much. Make it easy to do my job.
Well, that's good.
And a piece of cake in a pandemic, right?
As it is at a hospital, Leslie, I think you had the harder time.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, let's move on to, I think we're at I, FSBPT. Is that correct, Kathy?
We are.
Well, let's go ahead and knock some of that out. Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah. So these are at the front are meeting dates that are mostly FYIs, but I believe because FSBPT did a virtual administrator and board member regulatory training, if anybody wanted to share any highlights that they thought were important from that meeting, love to hear them. I know a number of you attended.
Yeah, whoops, have I still got? I attended, and one thing that I learned is one, how well organized we are as a board. We're very ahead of a lot of the other programs. So it made me very thankful for Kathy's leadership in that. And there, almost every example, it's like, yeah, we're doing that. We've got this in place. I learned a lot about my role. It was better clarified. And also, I think it was Dale. I know sometimes when I hear it that like the audiology is wanting to do some of what I consider PT, it was like embrace the fact that there's scope of practice overlap. So that was, I'm like, okay, that's kind of hard, but I'll have to learn to embrace that. And other things, especially about the role of the attorney being on our board and always present, and what a good thing that is to have to make sure that we are following the law, and that basically that we work as a, because of the laws that tell us what to do. So we need to make sure we're following that. So the whole thing was very informative. I'm still going through my notes because I have to go back through them to actually make sure that they make an impact on me. because Kathy, I know one guy, I think it was the guy from California, is like, oh, tell Kathy hi. It's in my notes. I need to send you his name. So,
Yeah, Jason's a good buddy. I love
Okay.
Jason.
yeah, and so I thought it, despite it not being in person, they did a good job putting us in breakout sessions where we had some time to talk with other people and meet other people, including staff that was involved.
Right.
So I hate to say it took me, still learning, but a year and a half to kind of understand what I'm supposed to be really doing. But I feel like I'm getting that now, and I probably couldn't have absorbed it in the first month anyway, because some of the things that they said were in that orientation book, but still it just takes a little bit to understand what we're doing fully. And I knew that we're not a like the APTA, we're not a there to support therapy. We're here to protect the community, but also just learning the delineation between the two is something important to understand.
Good. Mhm.
Great.
Kathy, is Paula joining us on this open session?
She stepped away for a minute.
Okay.
So she'll be back in a little while.
Okay.
I went to that meeting also, and they had a lot of information, especially for new people coming into the board.
Yeah.
I never, after all these years of being on the board, I never realized just how important every state really look up to North Carolina as an example of good things that can be done or good things that have been done. And it makes you feel good to know you're on a board that's that highly recognized. As far as the information, they had a lot of good information. The breakout sessions was really good, but all the information that they shared and the people that put the time into all that for virtual was really good, I think, for me.
That is a real testimony, Pearl,
Yeah.
to Connie and John and Ben, who've come before us, because those foundations were really built, and we're working on adding to those. But that was nice of you to share that with us.
That's it. And even I didn't get to stay through or do all the days, but even through, the training, again, FSBPT always does a great job, whether you're in person, and they've transitioned well to the online, but there's always information and things you learn, especially listening to people from other jurisdictions talk about how different things are across the boards. And, North Carolina definitely is kind of one of the leaderboards that people look to for direction.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that some boards are not individual. Like there was one, I think it was the director who had 3 boards combined. And so somebody asked her, does she see a difference between like PT, OT, and speech? And she says, one thing about the PTs, they are very outspoken and they are willing to challenge each other. Where I thought that was funny too, that, but that's true. PTs seem to be very, I guess, opinionated, where others are, like the OTs were more cooperative, maybe not that, we're not cooperative, but that's what she just saw, a difference in the personalities of the different boards. But they talked also about it's not called the Ideal Practice Act, but they have a Practice Act. And I think Kathy, you said we were going to kind of be looking at that at some point.
That we have historically used the Model Practice Act to model some of our law and rules on before. And, they do have a section, for example, on informed consent. So we could use those things as appropriate and then, model them or mold them for North Carolina.
Yeah, that's what and then the lawyer was saying, and I'm only throwing this out here, that we should invite people, and I know we do make a general invitation, but the lawmakers and the governor, invite them personally to our meetings. And he said also that we should meet with other boards. I wasn't sure if that would be, I did not immediately see how that would be beneficial, because to me, we have so much to cover already without trying to combine a meeting with like the OT board or another board. But that was a suggestion that he had.
I meet with the boards, the board execs of medicine, nursing, pharmacy, and dental quarterly. So you get a sense about what's going on in similar kinds of boards.
Okay, so not necessarily yeah, I couldn't see trying to hold our board meetings together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's great that our executive director knows other executive directors of other health-related boards.
Mhm.
That will go a long way to good communication and relationship building with other occupational licensing boards. So good feedback. Thank you all.
Yeah, but one thing they did now, when they asked questions to other people to get their opinion, I had to cringe because I was the second person after they started the meeting that he asked a question to. And I'm like, wait, not me. I'm not the one. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I heard Dale's trying to keep everybody awake and calling out people's names as he went. Yeah, that
And
was
it was good. It was good.
yeah.
But he also said if you didn't know the answer, you can talk about hockey. Because that's what he'd always start by saying how his team was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as other meetings go, Teresa and I'll be attending the virtual Leadership Issues Forum in July. And the 2021 annual meeting is also virtual, but we don't really have any information about that yet. But it's October 22 and 23. Maybe the 24th, and whatever the Sunday is the PT Compact annual meeting. So, some or all of us would be, anybody's welcome to participate in that, I believe.
Mhm.
So more details later.
I will be attending the Leadership Issues Forum as well.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
To the Resolutions Committee.
All right, we will update that. Then Crystal, has the Resolutions Committee met about anything that, so I think they usually meet at the annual meeting, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be starting to get everything prepared. I would say probably August, September, and then be sending out the notifications, asking people for information. I'm the chair of it this year, and I haven't gotten any notification of anything with motions or anything else to look into at this point. So I'm sure I will hear something soon.
Okay. Good. Debbie is on the ELDD task force, and I think they've just had one meeting, so I don't know how much there really has been activity-wise. The FSBPT is switching out the platform that they use for their database, and so I'm sure they're asking jurisdictions their input, to make it more user-friendly, et cetera. So Debbie's our rep on that. There are news briefs you can always access. I've got the link for you, the webinar series, and take advantage of that. They've got a lot of good information. One of the ones I wanted to ask everybody to put on their calendar is July 14th. They're doing one on imaging and regulation and imaging. And because that's going to be something that we're going to be addressing, I think it'd be very useful if all of us had an opportunity to hear it. And if you can't hear it that day, just go back to it a little later when they've got the recording up.
Is that going to be the 4:00 webinar thing?
I think so. I don't know if this one is a 4 o'clocker, but I think so.
I've already registered for it, and it is.
Awesome. Thank you. Just a little FYI, the FSBPT is considering making an ethics exercise online, kind of like a JAM or jurisprudence. And we were kind of polled, just asking information if we had a continuing competence requirement that required ethics, and would that be of use and interest? And I will say, at the investigative committee, we've certainly been talking about a lot of ethical issues. And so it can never hurt to have too many exercises out there and available. They're just kind of doing some preliminary looks at that right now. This is this FSBPT, NPTE or eligibility requirements. They decided not to change their requirements to require a certain TOEFL score for foreign trained applicants, which they have been, kind of leading up to for years. And we had proactively changed our rules to require that, which we've gotten a little bit of pushback on. And I think the bottom line is that there are some states that cannot or will not change their regulations, and that would cut off people's ability to take the test. And so I think they are still very encouraging of the standards that they set back, their board set back in 2017 that we based our rule on. And so, there's still support for it. They're just not going to officially change their requirements for it. So, I think initially when things change, there's a lot more pushback. I think once the rule's been in place for a while, it's less of an issue. But anyway, that's going to be one thing we're looking at in our rules, and that's why I put it on this agenda, just for your information. They've done away with the 5-star program at FSBPT, and so they've created some, additional metrics just to let you know how you are participating in the exam licensure and disciplinary database. And so they provided a document with all these different stats, and it looks to me like, once again, this is sort of also compliance related to the PT compact, and I think we are right there in compliance. So you'll start seeing that going forward. Every 2 years, we have to re-sign our agreement, or we have a renewal of our agreement that makes FSBPT our agent to the National Practitioner Data Bank. And Cindy completed that for us, I believe, last month. And so we're good for another 2 years with that. And that way our data is published, not only in FSBPT, but it goes to the National Practitioner Data Bank. We could do that independently, but if they are able to do it, that way the data goes in cleanly and consistently. So all good.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that report. Any other questions to Kathy related to FSBPT or meetings? Okay, well, I think it is now exactly 12 o'clock. This will be a good time to take a break and have lunch, and to come back promptly at 1 o'clock. Anything else about that, Kathy?
Or did you want to take a half an hour, or do you want to take an hour?
Is there a consensus among the group?
I'm fine with either.
I'm
An hour and finish earlier.
Okay.
half an hour, right?
Yeah, half hour would be better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a half an hour. Be back here at 12:30.
Good deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
shortly.
And at that point, we log into the other.
Yes. Thank you.
Read this one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Jamie.
Mm-hmm.